chess.com. How many people played chess on chess.com? I know a ton of people who learn how to play chess on chess.com. And millions of people play chess on chess.com every day. I'm not sure how many people know that chess.com is a $150 million ARR business. And that's not even the best part. The best part was that this company was built without raising any external funding. Now, I have a lot of respect and admiration for founders who take the alternate in building such incredible businesses. In today's episode, I have none other than Erik Allebest, who is the founder of chess.com, to talk about all that went into building this incredible business. Now, if you're an aspiring founder or somebody who's generally curious about the companies that can scale to this level, this episode is for you. Stay tuned.
Welcome, Erik, to Everyday Leadership. In this episode, we'll sort of try and understand what went into building chess.com to where it is today. And before we sort of get into all those details, let's just try and understand who Erik is to begin with. So Erik, why don't you just sort of give us a quick introduction of who you are and how did you end up where you are today?
Well, thank you for having me. I'll try to summarize my 46 years of life here in 46 seconds or less. But I grew up in California, two brothers, great parents. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom was a supportive mom and wife. I lived in a nice neighborhood. My dad was partly a lawyer, partly an entrepreneur. I went to a good school. I went to a good college. I kind of had a lot of great things set up for me. And I understand that's a big privilege that I had. And that many people come from much harder backgrounds than I did. And many people in those backgrounds that have achieved much more than I have or had an impact. So I do think that my background was helpful. But I think there's a lot of possibility for everybody, no matter where they are. And I firmly believe that. And there's many great stories of that. But I had a relatively, I would say, fertile kind of upbringing where a lot of things were open and a lot of love in our home. And my mom taught me how to play chess when I was 8. And I love games. I love all sorts of games. Chess is the greatest game, of course. But I play other board games. I play video games. So I'm really a gamer at heart. And I'm an adventurer, and I'm someone who's just very open-minded to what comes in life. So now I'm married. I've got 4 kids of my own. In 2 years, all my kids will be grown and out of the house. I'm feeling pretty old sometimes, but now I started chess.com 18 years ago, and when I had 2 kids, and now it's been a long, slow road where in the last few years, especially over the last 3 to 4 years, it's really been a steep ramp and we've grown a ton. And a lot of people are like, wow, chess.com is like this big thing. But there was about 13, 14 years where, it was just a more modest thing. And maybe sometimes I enjoyed that more than I do this now. But I have learned a lot. I have had the privilege of being here through the growth of an amazing renaissance for chess. And frankly, I've learned a lot as an entrepreneur. I went from a 2-person scrappy startup with my partner, Jay, to now being the CEO of a 700-person company. It's quite the ride I've had. And I feel it's been an honor to do it.
Awesome. That's a pretty interesting background right there. So could you help us understand what was your educational background? Was it like, so were you a software engineer before you started on chess.com? Like what was the context of you before chess.com?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was a good bad student in high school. And by that I mean I got very good grades by playing school like a game. I'm not sure how much I learned, but I was very good at the game of school. And I got good grades, which allowed me to go to a good undergraduate program. But when I got there, I said, I want to get out of school as fast as I can. What are the shortest majors that I can do to get out of here with a degree? And I'm going to learn everything on my own. So I was technically an English major, which is a writing and literature and communications type thing. I definitely learned some things around how to speak and structure and have good arguments, but I spent a lot of time in classes that had nothing to do with my life ambitions. But it was a versatile major. I'm honestly very much self-taught. So while I was going to school writing papers about literary theory just to finish the degree, at home, I was teaching myself to program. I was building computers. I was running a business. I was doing all of these things, and school was like a minor part of my life. But I did get an undergraduate degree in English, and I got good grades. And I took the test, the GMAT and the LSAT for, go to graduate school. Maybe one day I would. But I was really self-taught on running a business and engineering and thinking about product and how to run a business. So I kind of started a business in college, and that it was very small. It was teaching chess to kids. It was very small, but then I grew it. And instead of doing it just in one school, I did it in 10 schools, then 20 schools, and then in 100 schools. And then I started buying equipment and selling it online. And so one thing kind of led to another, but it was really just me being in it and doing it. And I've always just been a doer more than a talker or even a planner. Sometimes I'm just out doing things before I even realize what I'm doing. So that explains a little bit about me.
No, that's awesome. That sort of is a good foundation for the rest of the topics. So it looks like chess.com is not your first business. So it looks like the early start for the business happened in your college. But is chess.com is your first venture that you bootstrapped, or is there anything before that? That sort of helped you get to chess.com.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing small ventures forever. A lawn mowing business, selling things in schools. Did lawn. Yeah, I mentioned a lawn care business, and then I was doing after school chess clubs. That was kind of my first business, and I was doing that while I was in school, and I was making pretty good money while doing that. And then that led me to a second business, and I didn't have to raise any money to do that. It was just a self-paying business. And then I had some money, and I used that to start the equipment sales business, buying some inventory, building a website, etc. And I funded that all by myself. And then I got into chess.com and funded that by myself. And because I had money from the other two businesses. And so we didn't raise any money there. Then about 2005, 2009. So about 4 years into chess.com, I was like, I don't know if this business is ever going to be anything. I'm going to try a different business. And then I raised $2.5 million to do a fitness business that died in like 2 years. And I was like, oh, wow, that was a horrible experience. I'm just going to go back to doing chess where we raised no money. I'm sorry to the people I lost their money on that one. It was friends and family and a lot of my own money. But I learned a lot doing that, and went back and to chess and have, operated that ever since. That was 11 years ago that I quit that other job.
No, that looks like a very interesting juncture. And I'm sort of interested in that. But before we sort of get into those details, if you were to look back, would you advise people to strategize, plan, think, and do, or would you advise them to just get going and don't waste time thinking? You can figure out things on the fly.
I lean toward the latter part of just doing, because I think most people get paralyzed by thought and they think they have to have it figured out, but you don't have to have it figured out. You can just start. So most people, I would say, you just need to start doing something, even if you can't see it. Now, there's some people who are out there doing something that doesn't make sense, or they keep doing the same thing without results. Those people need to stop and think and strategize a little more. But most people just need to start.
Totally. That completely makes sense. Now, about chess.com. I mean, chess.com is a big name these days. I mean, the last time I went to India, I keep hearing chess.com from people that I cannot imagine, talking about chess for some reason. But before we sort of get started on that, how did you even get the domain name chess.com?
Yep. So I was interested in the domain name because we wanted to build a chess community online. And I thought, hey, there's the best domain name out there. So I just reached out and contacted the owners. I had dinner with them. And at first we decided to do a business together, but I kind of realized quickly on that like they didn't, other than the domain name, there really wasn't anything that I wanted out of that relationship, unfortunately. They ended up doing a bankruptcy because they owed a lot. They had raised a lot of money to do chess software. And so in that bankruptcy, I bought the domain name for $56,000 and, ended up doing it alone instead of with them.
Nice. And to talk about chess.com, it looks like, if I were to really look at this like any other startup, the idea was already validated because you were teaching chess in the schools and then you sort of scaled that business. So it looks like you had an idea in terms of how to teach chess. Can you talk about transitioning from that to really a scalable SaaS like product online? Like what was that journey for you was like?
Yeah. Oh, man. First of all, I would like to say that I think a lot of wonderful businesses can be built without technology. You can have a great, in-person business, a service business, a craftsmanship business. There's a lot of businesses that don't require technology. And building technology is hard. It's really hard. And so I'm not encouraging everybody that the only way to make money in this world is with a SaaS business or some kind of, deeply engineering focused business. That is not the case. And it's very hard to do, especially at scale. But you can start in a small way. You can cobble together services. You can use AI. You can use Google Docs. You can use Squarespace or Weebly or Stripe and all the different pieces. It's much easier today to just do a start because what chess.com is just, it's different. We're at a scale that is now, I think at one point we were one of the 100 most visited websites in the world, which is frankly insane to think about. As you said, like people were, have been into chess you never expected. But that's very different. You don't have to start there. You don't start a company thinking I'm going to be one of the 100 biggest websites in the world because you wouldn't get there. You have to start by just solving a small problem. So I started with teaching chess. I started with trying to understand how to present a product to people. Then later, when I wanted to sell chess equipment, then I got more back into technology and how does the database work and how do we do orders and how do we do fulfillment and how do we connect it to credit cards? And I started to learn more about the ecosystem of building web apps and SaaS businesses and worked with my partner, Jay, who later co-founded Chess with me. He started my other sales business too. And then when we had this idea, I was building product and front-end code of HTML, CSS, and he was building all the back-end stuff. And I learned not along with him. He's smarter than I am in many ways, and his, definitely technologically superior. But I was trying to learn and understand. And I think that one thing that sometimes people do is that I think they don't take the time to learn all the various aspects of the business. I'm not just like an idea guy and that's it. No, I see the pixels. I understand web design. I understand product development. I understand marketing and I understand technology really well, even though I can't write code anymore. I understood how do databases and caching and service architectures and APIs and, front-end codes and design systems and how do those all come together. So anyway, I guess my point of that is like, first of all, you can start small. Second of all, as you grow, make sure you're learning everything you can along the way because if you succeed, you're gonna need it in the future.
Nice. And when you went ahead and started chess.com, so what was your initial vision for the company? What were you trying to build?
Well, it's kind of embarrassing to say it because it makes me sound so old, but A long time ago, there was a website called MySpace. It was Facebook before Facebook. And we wanted to be the MySpace of chess. And so that was our goal, is we wanted to be a place where people could come and hang out and have a social network and feel their identity of who they were and say, hey, this is me. I'm a chess player. This is where my online home is. That was the initial start. And then we added play, and then we added learning, and then we added puzzles, and then we added, mobile apps, and on and on and on. And it's been a never-ending journey, and our roadmap currently is longer than it's ever been. So, you never stop.
Nice. And it's a very interesting journey. But could you also talk about what was your early customer acquisition like, and how did it sort of evolve over years at chess.com? Because a lot of the founders, I think one of the things that sort of pulls them back from really getting started with their business is really acquiring those early customers, because that is more like a secret recipe for everything, including funding and whatnot. But what was your customer acquisition initially was like?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that you have to have a customer acquisition strategy. You have to. You could build an amazing product, and if nobody knows, it's going to be tough. Now, there are so many possible customer acquisition strategies now. You can use, streaming, you can use social media, you can use product, you can use paid, which is getting harder, of course. You can you can use social virality. There's different things, but you have to have it. Ours was search, and that was SEO. So when people looked for chess, they would find us. And that has worked for us ever since. I mean, basically, you could look for anything chess related on Google or any search engine or any app store, or you could look for chess on YouTube. No matter where you look for chess, you're going to find chess.com. And then we also added to that a great product. So when people got there, they would see it and they would see, oh, chess.com has 4.8 stars in the App Store. That's probably good. I'll download it. And then, oh, you can add friends. Oh, I'll invite friends. And so there was product virality in there as well. That said, all of that was there as a foundation for the top of funnel miracles that we had, which was obviously COVID. Rest all souls who were lost in COVID. That was a huge, negative, for many people, and a big health crisis. At the same time, it did promote many businesses that were, gaming benefited a lot from people being locked down at home. Chess.com among them. Netflix did the Queen's Gambit show, which was amazing for us. And we capitalized on that with a great online content program, whether with Twitch, with YouTube, with short form content, and all sorts of things. So it started with SEO. It was then also product, and then it's been content ever since. So that's been our strategy.
Awesome. And SEO, I think, did it organically evolve because SEO has become harder and harder? I mean, interesting thing about SEO is it's also a great equalizer, right? So a billionaire cannot buy SEO just by throwing money at it. You have to sort of build it over a period of time. Now, was that the same process here, or did you have any tactics that you could share with other people about really building that SEO for businesses these days?
I knew a lot about SEO up until 10 years ago. I used SEO in all of my businesses and to start chess.com and have a great content strategy with pages and content and forums and videos and links and the right domain structures and canonical tags and meta tags. We did all that stuff. But now I have a team who does that much better than I do. So I don't know the latest tips and tricks. But the other thing is, to your point, like, it's an equalizer, but it's also a virtuous cycle. I mean, chess.com's SEO is massive. We have so much content. It's been around for so long. It's been linked to from so many places. I mean, we're beating Wikipedia across the board for almost all terms. I mean, that's the scale that chess.com is now. So it's a bit of a virtuous cycle in there, and we invested a lot in it, and it's been paying off for almost 2 decades.
Nice. That's awesome too. Is that the only way you I mean, obviously at your scale, I don't think you need any other way to bring people to your product. Um, but one quick question. So 18 years ago, building something like this without raising outside capital, I'm not sure if there was a precedence at the time, but was it intentional or did you not require any money to be, to bring from outside?
We couldn't get any money. No one would give us money. Now I was lucky. I had money.
Hmm.
I had money because I had sold my two other businesses. So frankly, I don't remember exactly how much I had at the time, but I personally ended up putting more than $700,000 into the business. So that's a decent amount of money that I put in personally, which was basically all of my money, from before that. And again, most people, my age, 18 years ago was, and I can't even do the math now, but kind of my late 20s. A lot of people don't have 700,000 US dollars sitting around at age 29, but I did. And I was fortunate. I had built two other companies and I'd sold those companies and I had the money. And so I was the investor.
Nice. And what way did you invest that money? Was the investment into building the product or something else? Like, how did
It
you
was all
get this
product.
machine running?
It's all people. It's
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 all people.
engineers. It's people who can code and build. That's all it is. It's like, and we had a sys administrator who was part time, and he was a good friend of Jay's, and now a good friend of mine. And he was kind of doing it for cheap, for equity. Good deal by him, actually. And then I was working for free. Jay was working for free. My co-founder. We were hiring people at a very low wage who loved chess. We had a customer support person, but then outside of that, it was engineers to kind of build the stuff. So, we were very frugal, and we were just building product as fast as we could. And then we built a monetizing product, and that was our lessons. And so you could go online and subscribe to chess.com for, I don't remember how much the first plan was, $5 to $10 a month, something like that, US dollars. And you could get our online chess lessons. Well, we suddenly had 1,000 people paying us $50 a month. I mean, $5 a month. That's good money. And then you get 10,000 people. Now it's really good, and you're starting to pay your bills. So we were very fortunate that all these pieces lined up really well.
Nice. And as you sort of started, are you comfortable talking about the ARR or the bit of the financials here,
Sure,
Eric?
I'll share what I can.
And what's your annual ARR as of today?
We're getting close to 150 million. Probably not this year, but getting close. 5 years ago, that was maybe, let's see, in 2019. I think it was about a little under 20 million. So
Oh, really?
it's been a fast ride.
It's is it the what triggered the growth though? Is it COVID
Yeah,
that
it was
pushed?
COVID, it was Queen's Gambit, it was PogChamps, it was short form content, it was a lawsuit from Hans Niemann to Magnus Carlsen and chess.com. It was the Mittens evil chess bot we made on our app. It was kids in schools. Oh, excuse me. It was kids in schools who were, downloading the app and doing that. So, chess has really come alive in the last, 4 to 5 years, and which has been great for us because we've been able to hire a lot of great people and build more and more product. And so we're investing more than ever in the product and in the community. I mean, we spent more than, I think, close to $10 million last year just putting money back into the chess community through prizes and hiring chess content professionals and paying out to authors and things. So it's been really nice to see the chess ecosystem grow, and for us to be able to hire 700 people who love chess and this can be their career, and pay money out to professional chess players so that they can have a career, and to invest back in the game. So it's been a fast ramp on revenue, and we've put it back into our company and into our team.
Awesome. That's very inspiring. And you mentioned, so I wanted to go back and touch on this a little bit. You mentioned that after 4 years into this company, you started having second thoughts where you you branched off and started something else which didn't
Yep.
work and then came back to it. Could you talk about the light? It's 4 years. I thought, in 4 years, I'm sure you might have had SEO kicked in and seeing those
Sure.
early signs of a growing company. What exactly happened there?
I was living in Silicon Valley at the time, and our company was kind of 2009. It was actually more like 2 to 3 years after I graduated from business school. Chess.com was doing okay. We had, I don't know how many people working there, a handful of people, maybe 15. It was growing, 20, 30, 40% a year. It was doing fine. But I was living in an environment of Silicon Valley that said, hey, what you're doing is not important. It's small. It's never going to be successful. You need to go do something bigger. You need to tackle a bigger market, and you need to raise money, and you need to get an office, and you need to hire local talent. And that's how you do a startup. This little chess remote company with no money raised. Chess is a small market. You don't have an office. You're doing it wrong. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, okay, so we raised money. We got an office. We hired engineers. The fitness market we thought was a much bigger market than chess. Okay, we'll go there. And none of it worked. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to chess. And it's just different playbooks. And I think that everyone is susceptible to messages around them telling them, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And I think that chess.com is a great story of like, you don't have to do it the way everybody says.
Absolutely. And that's such an interesting point that you mentioned there. And you're right. I think it's very hard to resist these external messages and signals and being in a spot because you don't know whether you're wasting time or what the future holds for you. And then you have to take these calls, which are very difficult. But one of the interesting things that I see with chess.com is the focus that you managed to maintain over years. Like, how did you resist yourself from doing something else, but only focus on chess.com? Like, you could have made it into a marketplace, added a couple more games and all kinds of things. You could do many things with it, but how did you manage to keep the focus on throughout?
Oh, it's a very good question. I mean, we thought about doing other games for years. It just never felt like there was just so much to chess. We just could feel the depth and the potential of chess. Even though we didn't understand it, I could just say that we felt it. And so we kind of followed, we followed that. Now, I did dabble. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't help it. I did little projects here and there. I wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on little side projects I did for fun. Built stupid games and apps and things just kind of for fun, but I was never focused on it, which is why probably they didn't succeed or they weren't great ideas. But, I never stopped focusing on chess and building that. And it had a consistent growth path. But, I can't say that I never thought about other things. I did. I built other games and it's fun for me. I'm a builder. I'm a tinkerer. But that's why partly I said that my job has really changed in some ways. I mean, building a product is one thing, but running an organization is entirely different. And so now I'm learning more about that in many ways and trying to set people up and coaching and setting them up for success and, the larger organizational structure and how do we achieve great things when there's so many people so it doesn't get siloed or bogged down or slow. These are things I'm learning. Maybe in my heart of hearts, I'd love to just be back with 5 people building one small game. That's fun, but this is a different challenge, and I'm grateful to have that.
No, awesome. And another interesting thing that I see here is today building remote company is a normal thing to do. And this was not the case like 18 years back or whatever, maybe 14 years back, not even 5 years back.
Yeah.
Now, why did you build a remote company at the time? Was it because of the cost structures and the ability to sort of hire better people at maybe at a lower cost? What pushed you to really build a remote company when it was not a norm across other companies and industries?
Yeah, I mean, we just straight up could not afford to hire local people. We couldn't do it. I mean, in Silicon Valley, sometimes they're just waving around stupid money to hire engineers, and we could never compete with that. And we found that we could hire over, in other places at a much more, you know, reasonable cost for us. I mean, we have an amazing team in Serbia and Poland and Ukraine and all over different parts of Europe and South America and Canada. We do hire in the US now, but not as much as many other companies, just simply based on our cost structure. But when the world globalized so fast, talent and connectivity and being able to hop onto Slack. I mean, I don't understand why all companies don't do this, but I also understand that chess.com is unique and that we have a very binding mission. The game of chess brings us together in a way that our mission is our glue in many ways. And I always kind of joke, I don't know that my same playbook would work if I started an insurance company, doing insurance software. I don't know. Maybe it's too people aren't as motivated, aren't as excited. There's no community. There's no, the challenges are different. So maybe this structure maybe only works for, certain types of companies. But it worked really well for us.
No, awesome. And what did you learn building a remote company in the sense, like, what's your playbook to really execute a remote company? And if you can also help us understand, how did it change for you from managing about a 5-member team to, about 700 people today?
Yeah. Some things that are important to running a remote company. It's like culture is the most important thing. That culture will permeate everywhere in all of your channels and emails and everything. And if you start to let just a little bit of negativity in, or politics or siloing or bullshit or just bad stuff, you could kill all of it, because a remote culture is fragile. You don't see people's faces all the time. And so if you're in Slack and there's a message that could be seen as positive or negative, if your culture is to view it as negative, you're going to see negative and problems. If your culture is to see it as positive, you're going to have a lot of positivity out of that. So we're very careful about this. So culture is the most important thing. The mission also just binds us together, gives us things to look at and laugh about, and to be part of a community. The chess community is amazing. It's just fun to be a part of it. So that bleeds into our work as well. You want to have the right tools, and you want to have the right people. One thing that we do is we let people go quickly. Frankly, if they don't fit with our culture, or they can't handle a remote working lifestyle, unfortunately, like for their good and for ours, we tend to part quickly. So I don't know. Those are a couple things that we found that work well.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And do you use any frameworks like OKRs and stuff like that to really align people on a mission or anything? Or
yeah, we have mission statement, which encapsulates our mission. We have values that talk about what we value. Then we also have different strategic goals that we're executing on over time, and those break down into initiatives that we have. But we're not the most organized company, I would say, in terms of like OKRs and report on this, and did you meet this, and this is your deadline, and this is your KPI. That kind of stuff sometimes can take the magic out of it sometimes. And I always wanted to work and create a company that I wanted to work at, right? Where I was happy and I felt comfortable and I felt respected as a person. And I think that there is a place for OKRs and KPIs and structure, but sometimes it's put ahead of humans, and sometimes it's put ahead of, creativity and other things. And so we've always wanted to be really careful about that and take the best we could from that without letting it start to be the driver, because life is too exciting and rich and fun and unique and interesting to be driven entirely by numbers.
Nice. And no, that totally makes sense. I think, like you said, I think remote culture is very fragile, and people are already in shells and they could further go back into their shells and can cause a lot of damage. But do you have like any core collaboration hours that or anything? How do you make sure, given that you've been hiring remotely, and this could be interesting because a lot of the companies have made this transition recently. Now, do you have any set hours where you expect everyone to be online for collaboration or anything? Is that a practice?
Not really. We have a pretty loose system of tracking. We don't track people's hours, and even people's vacation time and stuff is kind of self-reported and very, very fragile. I mean, very fluid, not fragile. I will say time zones can be really hard. I will admit to that. I'm on kind of West Central US and Mountain Time. Sometimes I've got to get up early or work later. There are people in Europe who tend to work from sometimes 2 p.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. and they swap their times. The honest truth is that we kind of operate on an Americas and Europe and Africa time zone. I'm sorry to say it is very hard for us to have people in India and East Asia and Australia because the overlap is just really difficult for us. So we've made 2 time zone kind of regions work. It's very hard to make the third work. We do have team members there. They do have coverage in certain things, but when collaborating on product and collaborating on technology and business operations, that does make it harder.
Nice. And yeah, that totally makes sense. I think adding another time zone is like really, really complicating things much more. But what next for chess.com, Eric? Like, where are you going with it? Like, where's the destination?
Well, those are different things. What we're doing and where we're going are interesting questions. Where we're going is we're going to keep making the best product we can and grow chess. So we want to serve our community and our audience, and we want to grow the game. And, we're roughly at like 5 to 8 million daily active users and 40 to 50 million monthly active users, somewhere in that range. I think we can definitely get to 20 million daily active users and 100 million monthly active users. I think that's well within our possibility. And we'll do that through product and retention and engagement, and also more top of funnel. Like there's still a lot of people who used to play chess but aren't playing now, or people who still haven't started playing chess online, and we're going to reach those people. We're doing that in part through a media strategy. You're going to see a lot of chess in the media next year. Probably not in the next 6 months, but next year you're going to see a lot more chess in the media. That's going to be pretty exciting. And so preparing for that, we're focused on a lot of product initiatives and business organization initiatives. We're trying to build out our DNA in our side of our company to be more, to be a little bit more funnel focused for best practices. Whether that's first time user experience or engagement or retention. So we're trying to get better at doing that. A little bit more data, a little bit more experimentation to just get better at the funnel. And then we're creating more products that are so exciting. I'm so excited about our product roadmap. We have some things in the works that are just going to hopefully just delight our members so much. So I don't want to spoil too much on what that is, but it's basically for me is like, top of funnel's coming, so get ready for that by having a great funnel that can bring users from first time to being engaged active users, and then build product to delight them and an organization that can support that. So that's what I'm focused on.
Nice. And we're almost at the end. We have one last section, but before that, so what are some execution challenges, or what keeps you up at the night with chess.com?
Oh man. Depends on the day. I think velocity of development is something that I think about a lot. It's sometimes hard, ideas are easy, execution is hard. So I worry about execution speed at times. If we're doing it right, can we get faster? Can we stop doing some things so we can do other things better? So that's something that I think about a lot. I worry a lot about our community sometimes. People are very passionate about chess, and sometimes there's some toxic elements to that at times, whether it's, sexism in messaging or rude behavior. When people lose, they say mean things, or whether it's cheating. So, there's some negative behaviors that happen in any online game and in any online community, but I don't know. It's hard for me to emotionally separate from that. I care about this so much, and I care about the community and every single member, and I stress out a lot about that, and it worries me, and I want the best and the most positive possible environment for people to enjoy chess.
No, yeah, that totally makes sense, especially chess community. You've built this vibrant and amazing community, and making sure that it's safe and guarded, and totally makes sense. But no, there is a surge in the AI as well, Eric. So I'm kind of curious, like, would you see that as an opportunity, or do you see somebody disrupting you using AI in another form or shape or whatever?
AI means a lot of things. We use a lot of AI. LLMs is one kind of certain vertical that everyone's very focused on right now. Current LLMs are very bad at chess and very bad at explaining chess. They don't understand it. It's you can't explain chess through kind of predictive words. There's actual real concrete things there. And this is a larger problem that AI is facing. I mean, you've seen some of the memes, if you ask someone, I saw a post of like Google Gemini where someone asked Google Gemini, how many rocks should a person eat every day to be healthy? And Google Gemini says, the average person should eat one small rock per day to be healthy. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And the AI is just predicting based on things it sees and hears and reads, and it's not actually governed by any logical structure. Now, hopefully, maybe one day that gets solved, but it's just still not good at that. It's not good at concrete thought. It's good at abstract. It's good at creativity. It's not good inside the lines right now. So what we're doing is that we're taking the best of both. We get to get all the benefits of LLMs, but we have the most comprehensive, structured understanding of the game of chess that they will never have in the general AI. Well, not never, but in the near term. And we get to marry those things together and make our product better and better. And we are super excited. We're working on some stuff that I wish I could share, but it's too early. But is going to really bring together the best of all the AI technologies, whether it's voice technology or LLMs and speech or personality stuff or images, and then bring all of our knowledge of chess and put that all together in a teaching experience that is going to, I'm just so excited about it.
Nice. Awesome. And I think, community people, these things are not solved or put together by AI anyways.
Yeah.
I think the joy of being part of community like that. But one final question, if someone today wants to build a business without raising any external capital, what template or what advice would you give to someone like that?
It's a great question. Don't start with a high scale technology company. Those are hard and expensive, but you can prove out some ideas. Again, just start doing something. There's an author and friend of mine, Noah Kagan. He has a book called $1 Million Weekend, and he's all about just getting people to do the first ask, to do the first experiment, to build the first small thing, to sell the first thing, because just getting over that initial hesitancy to just prove out an idea of some kind is just where all great ideas start. And so that's what I would say is what's the minimum viable idea that you can have to do it? Serving someone with your time, prototyping a product, offering a service, putting together a website that has, things on it that can then lead to Google Forms. That's fine. You can start a business that way. But it really comes around a need and identifying something out there that people want, and people need. And so, I think that's the right place to start, is to identify that and then start hustling.
Awesome. Just build just what's needed, and then maybe starting from there. Well, we're at the end of the part. I have one last section where I ask more like a rapid fire questions.
Sure.
And who is your favorite entrepreneur?
Oh, I am not prepared to answer that. Wow. I don't know how to answer that. I don't follow the ecosystem that much, and I'm a little bit turned off by some of the Silicon Valley playbooks. So my favorite entrepreneurs are all the ones I've never heard of, to be honest. All the ones out there doing amazing things that have started businesses and are doing great stuff and don't have any of the limelight or celebrations. Those are my favorite entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it could be yourself. And what is that one favorite book of yours that you would recommend to others?
The Art of Possibility.
Oh man, I've not heard of this one, but nice. And what is that one life hack that sort of helped you live a better life?
Exercise every single day. Never miss.
Perfect. With that, really, really appreciate your time here, Erik, and we wish you all the best with chess.com. And we look forward for you to get to 20 million active users as soon as possible. And I hope to do another episode back then to see what worked and what are these new product features that you're cooking up right now. But yeah, much appreciated. Thank you for being on this pod.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And I will also say to any of our Indian fans, make sure to tune into the World Chess Championship happening later this year, where Gukesh is playing and representing India to hopefully be the next World Chess Champion at 18 years old. It's an amazing story. If you're not following Gukesh and all the prodigies in India that are taking chess to the next level, you gotta watch that story. So anyway, exciting times.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again, Erik. I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. All right.